My son and I took a camping trip to Mountain Ridge ATV Park in June of 2026, and figured I would do a review as I got a lot of footage, and it was just overall a great experience. First thing you'll notice when you get there is if you've never been up close and personal to a windmill, they are massive. It took a little bit to get used to them. It is pretty windy up there, and at the tips of them, they can get up to, I think, 150 miles an hour. So it is something to understand and get used to. As the days went by, you notice them less and less, but it is something that will definitely catch your attention when you arrive. This place is absolutely gorgeous. Now we've done a lot in the Northeast and gone down to West Virginia to Hatfield and McCoy. I feel like Mountain Ridge ATV Park is the prettiest place that we've ridden. Trails are beautiful. Campground was great. Staff was very friendly. And overall, fantastic experience. So camping, there was 2 sections to camp. One was in the main field, and then another was more secluded, being that we had some weather while we were there. I was very happy to be in the secluded section that was a little bit lower elevation with that hedgerow of trees behind us. Seemed to protect a good amount of the wind from blowing our stuff away, which was great. Decent amount of people there. Everybody was friendly, respectful, and for the most part followed all the rules. The campground itself that they provide was ample from a space standpoint. It was more than large enough for, I think you're allowed 2 tents per site. We only had 1, but we had a pop-up canopy and a bunch of toys. Truck and trailer, everything fit very well. They do a nice job of trying to keep up with the grass, so it wasn't muddy or anything like that. And they did have water at some of the RV sites, so if you needed, a hose, you could take a short trip to one of the RV sites, get some water. They did have porta potties, both in the campsite as well as at the main location outside of the main house. There was a shower house as well that I believe had three or four stalls in the men's room. There is separate men and women's rooms. There is an arcade, which we spent a little bit of time in. There's a nice little shop in there. Everybody that worked there was super friendly. Check in, check out process was incredibly simple. Standard liability waiver requirement. And there was multi-day pass discounts, which were great, as well as we were able to attend the night ride, which was a separate charge, but a lot of fun. This is the first night ride I have done where they did it all together, where you were, follow the leader, conga line type of thing, as opposed to just a, free-for-all, which was fun. It was a good experience and well run. It lasted about 2 hours, and they took us on a standard trail but backwards, and they cut some grass and some fields so you could experience the park in a little different way than you typically would. The trails here are fantastic, well marked. The greens are very green. Certainly been to, especially in Pennsylvania, been to some tracks where the green trails feel more like blues. These were legitimate green trails. The blues were legitimate blues, and took a little time on a black, and that was pretty rocky. Not crazy elevation changes or rutted out or anything, mostly just Pennsylvania rock sections. There is a beautiful overlook that we were able to get a little bit of time to hang out and take a break and catch in the scenery. The trails going in and out of the overlook were a little bit rough, but not too difficult where you had any issues. The entire park, I would say, is a good 2-day park to explore. I don't think you could hit all of it in one day. 2 riding days was great. We were able to go on some of the trails on the side-by-side and then go back to the ones that we thought were easy enough for my son, that he was comfortable on his quad. So we had both the Honda Talon 1000X as well as my son has a KFX 90 quad, and I had a maiden voyage on a 700R 70th anniversary edition Raptor, which was a great first experience with the quad. We did stop to help a couple of people that had broken down on the side of the trail. They had a Raptor that was not running well and then wouldn't start again. Start with simple. They had ran out of gas, so we were able to just turn the reserve on and get them back to camp so they could top off. This is a fantastic family facility where there was playgrounds, there's an arcade, a lot of camaraderie, especially in the field area, where it seemed like a lot of kids were playing and riding bikes and doing all kinds of different stuff. The staff was, for the most part, hands-off. They were available and helpful when needed, but weren't overly in your business, which was great. Trails were extremely well maintained. They were wide for the most part. We did go through one blue where it was getting a little bit tight in the side-by-side, a little bit rocky, but we made it through without, having to get skinny and fold in mirrors or anything like that. Nice breakdown of trails. The greens were long and flowy and fast, and you could cook pretty good. The blues were slower. We took one, I think it was called the Turtle Trail, which was a very slow going trail. It wasn't overly technical, but you had to take your time in it. All in all, I would absolutely recommend Mountain Ridge ATV Park. We come from New Jersey, and it was a maybe 4 or 5 hour trip. Very, very much well worth it. I will absolutely return. I think probably 2 riding days, maybe 3 riding days is a good stint to stay there. So, travel day on both ends of that makes a nice vacation. It was a little bit dusty, although we did have some rain. I could see if it had gone a long period of time without rain, it would be probably very dusty. Mud was all tolerable, nothing that sunk it. There was some cool, different additional things that you don't see at just a standard side-by-side park. There was 3 different motocross tracks. There was a kids track, which my son kept going back to. He really, really liked it. It was a nice, long, flowy couple of jumps, little mud section. He really enjoyed that and kept going back every day. There was an adult motocross track where, being middle-aged, there is nothing like a dozen laps around an adult motocross track to make you feel your age. And kind of disappointed that you were sleeping on a cot in a tent and not in a nice bed, but we made it through. I could say I did it. There was also a side-by-side motocross track, which was pretty neat. That's not something I see all the time. Really, really nice drag strip there. Really well set up. Nice runouts and everything. And then there was a kind of a mud hole, I would say. Didn't get a lot of time there, but did see somebody with some wet pants that definitely indulged past the doors. All in all, I would rate Mountain Ridge ATV Park extremely high. Definitely one to visit if you are in the Northeast. I think I'll probably do a rating video of Pennsylvania, New York trails and maybe how they compare to West Virginia. To me, this was right up there with Hatfield and McCoy as far as riding trails. Obviously, you're not going to do 150 miles here, but extremely pleasant riding. This is a great place to take kids that are learning because there's some easy enough trails where they can learn. People were very cautious about kids. I didn't see anybody ripping around, doing anything unnecessary. So really good for kids, really good family experience. You can camp, you can bring your RV. There's some cabins there. It looks like, for the most part, if there is an event going on during the weekend, it's pretty sold out pretty quick for the cabins. But campgrounds were great, and the RV lots look great. And I'd suggest take a trip out there, spend a couple of days riding, and enjoy the absolutely beautiful spot. Thanks for watching.
It's supposed to be helping me clean up